We are live. It is John Pollock and Wei Ting here with you on a Sunday night to chat about WWE Clash de Noche Italy El Grande.
Yes, that's right. I think after this weekend, I feel safe in saying that I don't think any wrestling show should ever take place in North America or US and Canada again.
Done.
Okay.
I'm done with the American crowds.
Yeah.
You can take your "This is awesome" and Cody Rhodes, get out of here. This is an international industry.
Yeah.
We pay these television contracts. That's how we experience these shows.
At least a year break, okay?
Minimum.
Like I speak it as a Canadian, like I would include us in that too, where like that's just I think we've had a good, 30-year lock on this 30, 40-year lock on all of this. Let's just let them tour the rest of the world for a good 10 years or so.
Yeah. You know what? You fans, you blew it with your fight forever. Okay? That was it. That was the end point, and we've just been finding a way to break up since then. This weekend was the official delineation of sorts. But we are here. We are going to be chatting about Clash in Italy, and then we will spend some time talking about the AAA show from Saturday night, where El Grande Americano's recent arrest was brought up in commentary. Did you get to see?
I saw the main event.
Okay, well, that's what we're going to talk about mainly.
Yeah.
But we will get to that later. But we'll start off with the Italy show that took place this afternoon in Turin, Italy, at the Inalpi Arena. We did not have a WrestleTix number for this. It was announced as a sellout on the broadcast as over 12,000 people, which sounded close to sounded like a reasonable estimated figure that we would get with Michael Cole and Corey Graves on commentary. And sometimes they will go to these international markets and they really do acclimate themselves to the country they're in, truly embed the culture for the viewer at home. You are worldwide on Netflix, and nothing said Italia more than Scary Movie plastered on the middle of this apron, surrounded by Riyadh season logos. I mean, it really, really did give you a flavor of the country, I thought.
Sure. Yeah. I guess it is an American product, to be broadcast on ESPN, and therefore, I guess Fiat, was an advertising for this.
No. Instead, it is a Scary Movie coming back 26 years later.
Well, I mean, they were doing sequels, all the way up, and I actually did look some of this up. They were doing sequels all the way.
How many Scary Movies did they do? I think I saw the first two.
They did 5 in total.
They did 5.
Yeah, and this is the 6th. I mean, this one is with the involvement of the Wayans brothers, who haven't been involved since the second one. So it seems like a reboot or something. Yeah. And I didn't even watch the trailer. Was it any good? Did you watch it?
I haven't seen the trailer. No.
Oh, you didn't? You skipped through it in the show?
Yeah, I skipped through all the commercials on there, so okay. I can't comment. Probably won't see this movie, but hey, maybe.
Well, we are talking about it, so you know what? This advertising works.
They got us.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we're getting into the ESPN portion, which was the first hour, and we're kicking things off with Cody Rhodes and Gunther for the undisputed WWE Championship. And Cody has a new item for the next WWE auction. He comes out in his big Skeletor mask, but this isn't just any mask. The left eye is ripped out, symbolic of the change he underwent at WrestleMania at the hands, or should we say the foot, of Randy Orton. Some real nice attention to detail here with the eye. And as well, the American Nightmare logo on the back in the colors of Italy. So he was the Italian Nightmare tonight.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Uh-huh. This makes for a great Halloween costume if you are in the market, as we are. We're 5 months away. Countdown begins. So they mentioned these two, the last two King of the Ring winners. I bet you couldn't have said that off the top of your head, Way.
No, absolutely not.
Super crowd, as one could expect. This was a great crowd throughout the night. Lots of singing. I enjoy the singing that are, and also not feeling the need to chant anything in English as well. That was nice.
Except this is awesome. They were trying.
We got some of those.
Yeah.
But I mean, the counts were in Italian. I mean, there were several songs in Italian.
Every one of these shows internationally, I feel like is a chance for these crowds to kind of like, let the rest of the world know what it's like to watch a wrestling show in their country. And the fans certainly took full advantage tonight. Yeah.
So Gunther, right away, Cody does a Stardust cartwheel, and Gunther stops a Cody cutter with a chop. He hits the monster drop kick and follows with a power bomb. And Cody hits his first crossroads very early in the match for a 2 count, and he continually is going for the Cody cutter. The second attempt lands him in a sleeper, and he escapes. Gunther reapplies it and takes him down to the mat. And Cody fights his way free, but then Gunther just rises from the dead from behind, reapplying it, and finally Cody gets his foot on the rope. And with that, he hits the Cody cutter, his big accomplishment, hits a clothesline, and then a crossroads. 1, 2, 3. The match ends. This was a very abrupt ending to the match. 11 minutes and 35 seconds, and it's very apparent that Gunther, he moves his foot underneath the rope as the count begins, and then as it reaches 3, it's lifted up in the air. So Gunther protests to referee Dan Engler, but Cody is your winner. And instead of this being a blow-off, it felt like this is simply a means to a rematch that looks to be coming out of this. As Cody would say on the post show, that if Gunther wants a rematch, he can have the rematch. And later we'll talk about brackets that they have released for the King of the Ring and Queen of the Ring. Absent in those brackets is Gunther. So wait, first of all, your thoughts on the match, and do you feel we're running this one back in Saudi Arabia potentially?
So as a way to protect Gunther to build to a rematch, I think there are a number of ways you can get to a third match. And I really did not mind this one. I don't know how the rest of the audience would. I mean, I imagine many people watching would probably be disappointed by what feels like a bit of a cop-out of a finish. But I think if you wanted to get to a third match between these two, the alternative being Gunther beating Cody in order to build to a third match, I truly did not mind this because, number one, it keeps Cody's run extended a little bit longer and allows for maybe a bigger peak stateside where they've never actually done this match before. The last one, of course, was in Saudi. This one being in Italy, you would imagine, well, maybe the next one could be Saudi, or because you're right, because the winner, King of the Ring winner, would face the winner or whoever would be champion at SummerSlam, right?
Yes, providing, they go for the championship.
So that would really only leave Saudi, or what else is in between?
That's it. They have a Saturday night's main event, but I don't think they're going to put a big match on there. I mean, it's possible because I was thinking TV, Saudi Arabia. There were 2 options you could go with here. You could go this Cody Gunther match, or something involving Cody and Sami Zayn, just given it's Saudi Arabia, and Sami Zayn is also not in the King of the Ring tournament, which can really fuel Sami's character that he's left out of the King of the Ring, because you would think he has something in Saudi Arabia, and he's sort of in this mix with Cody and Gunther.
Right, yeah. But I think in terms of in-ring chemistry, I thought these two were really strong with each other. Gunther matches are never really fancy, and for that matter, Cody matches aren't really fancy either. But I think both men excel at being either a great pure heel or a great pure babyface. And thankfully, they had a crowd that wanted to see both of them play those exact roles with no negative reaction towards Cody whatsoever. But as a match, yes, it was maybe standard, but I thought it was perfectly executed and paced for what they had to do in the time that they were given. And I thought the struggles inside the sleeper from Cody in particular were very well worked. To me, it was never dull. I thought the Yay Boo was extra thrilling because it was set to such a great, like, I would say, unique football style chants from this particular crowd. So I enjoyed it despite the non-conclusive finish. And as a way to get to the third match, I actually thought this was a perfectly decent way to get there.
Yeah, I went in. I thought this had the potential to be the match of the show. I don't think it was. It was a good match with an incredible crowd. It was just, to me, a lot shorter than I assumed this was going to be, and it sort of was leaving things open to bring this match back probably fairly quickly as well. So nothing really wrong with it for the objective it was going to accomplish. But as we will get into, between Gunther, Femi, and Jacob Fatu, there was a lot of, we've got to beat this guy, and how can we protect them in beating them on this show?
Well, it's very evident that this had an incredible crowd, but this was not an A-level show. And they wanted to either settle a lot of WrestleMania, your last A-level show feuds with this show, and also maybe tease your feuds heading into the next A-level show with this one.
So we had the Paul Levesque takeover special where it was all the faces in the crowd that we got. The first batch being LA Knight, Montez Ford, and Judgment Day. Guess Dawkins wasn't interested in flying all the way to Italy for a cameo in the crowd.
Well, he's injured.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right. He was taken out. So yeah, that does make sense. Rhea Ripley and Jade Cargill is next for the women's championship. They are singing immediately as the bell rings. There's a mommy chant, and they have a long collar and elbow tie up. Jade starts doing her Mark Hominick tribute, which every push up,
of course,
is set to.
Mark Hominick invented push ups, don't you know?
For sure. And she gets slapped for doing these push ups, and Jade just bounces her off the rope into a knee strike. And we see this hard Irish whip by Jade and a fallaway slam on the floor. So she's working on Ripley's back, and this would play itself out as the match progressed. Jade runs her shoulder into the post. Always the fall of every heel in these matches. And Ripley capitalizes, hits a release German, and then a cannonball off the edge connects. This comes after Rhea had tried one earlier, and Jade had semi-caught it on the floor. Jade stops a razor's edge, and then both women go down after a kick from Rhea. They're trading strikes, and then they're going for their finishes. The Riptide gets blocked, Jaded gets blocked, and then Rhea tries to get her up for the razor's edge and really cannot elevate her, and Cole just cites like her bad back that she can't properly deliver the razor's edge. So Jade is on top of Rhea's shoulders, and they roll over the top, and Rhea's back just smashes into the apron coming down here as Jade stays on her shoulders. And this just looked like a very ambitious spot here to try and pull off. And Rhea's back just crushed into this apron as they land on the floor. We go back to Riptides and Jadeds that are attempted. Neither can hit it. And then Jade turns a Riptide into a DDT, and this whole place applauds. Nobody was cheering louder than Michael Cole, who said, "We are seeing the maturation process of Jade Cargill. The critics be damned. Fuck the internet." I mean, Michael Cole was just getting in his 2 cents here. Blue Thunder Bomb by Jade, and then B-Fab and Michin appear. And Rhea's distracted, turns around into a pump kick, and she tries the Jaded yet again. This is like her 150th attempt at Jaded. And Rhea rolls through, hits the Riptide, and B-Fab. Poor B-Fab here. She has one spot to do on this whole show. It's to save Jade by putting her foot onto the rope. And she extends her arms and comes up with nothing. She did not grab the leg, and the count is going, so Jade just has to quickly get her foot onto the rope to make this not look completely stupid. But man, did this seem so simple, and yet it seemed like it was such a struggle.
Yeah, very unfortunate. B-Fab, you had one job, and Sadly, I don't think something like this will reflect that well on somebody in her position.
It was so bad that the referee sent them to the back. They were like, "You're done. You guys have done enough." And they're ejected. And then Charlotte Flair is just Spider-Man here. She appears on the barricade out of nowhere and leaps onto these two. And then Jaded is hit, and now it's Flair's turn to show everyone how it's done as she puts Rhea's foot onto the rope, saving her. There's a big pop for this, and that leads to Rhea headbutting Jade and hitting the Riptide in 16 minutes and 57 seconds. So the run-ins backfire on Jade. Charlotte helps Rhea retain, and we are going to be getting a Jade-Charlotte match in the Queen of the Ring tournament.
So I thought their Mania match went pretty well and exceeded expectations, and I felt like this match built on that, and I think further showed off the pretty strong chemistry that both of them share. At least, like, to me, Jade maybe showing better chemistry with Rhea than most of her opponents. And I think maybe just, having somebody of a similar stature and being as athletic as Rhea is, allows Jade to maybe be a little bit more dynamic. And maybe it just means, like, Rhea is just a really strong performer. I thought in particular the counter wrestling sequences in and out of each other's finishers in this match were very well put together, very well devised. So credit to them, the producers, coaches, all responsible for some of these, including that there's that Jaded counter through the legs into the Riptide, which ended their Mania match. And I thought it was really well executed in that particular instance. Not as smooth in this one, but they did stack it with a Jade Riptide counter into the DDT, which I did think looked perfect.
That looked really good.
Yeah, that electric chair spot from the inside to the outside, like you said, John, really ambitious. But I thought it was actually like pretty well executed, especially if your goal is to tell the back injury story with Rhea Ripley, because there was that back contact to the apron.
Oh, she conveyed to me that would have like killed her back. So mission accomplished. Yes.
If your goal here is clearly, if you're Michael Cole, if part of your goal is to, protect Jade Cargill in the loss, and in fact maybe like convey some sort of like maturation of your abilities despite the internet's criticisms, I felt there was enough in this match to be able to convince people of that narrative. But of course, there's still a lot of maturation, for Jade Cargill to do. In particular, I felt like, keeping your attention during the heat, I thought was a tough task for her. Here it kind of felt a little bit long and a little bit boring. But overall, I think she is on the path, to improvement, as slow as it may be. These matches in particular with Rhea Ripley, I think have shown her maybe at her best as a singles since we've started. So I would say overall positive, these two of them for sure.
I think that the two matches, I think they have been some of Jade's better ones in WWE. I think if I was comparing the two, I'd go with the Mania match over this one, but that one also had lesser expectations for me. The run-ins, it had the storyline purpose with Charlotte, but they did not add to the match. But I thought they had some creative stuff, the two of them in this, and it was sort of just lumping all this stuff on at the end that just sort of brought this one down a little for me. But overall, like I would say that if you're looking at Jade, like it was, it was a fine performance here. Like I'm not going to go blow away great on this, but this, I think that the chemistry with Rhea has been better than we've seen with probably any of Jade's opponents at this point.
The match certainly, to me, fell apart with the run-ins here. I mean, B-Fab screwing up the foot on the rope spot, very unfortunate. But I think like the booking of like having Charlotte do the exact same thing afterwards, even if B-Fab's was well executed, to me, it makes the ref look completely fake in missing two of these spots when you see his eyes are looking right there. I mean, the first of which, was more of a
that was the other part, is that the referee fully sees this whole thing with B-Fab, and then it's like she really didn't do anything, so there was no even purpose to eject her because it was a mess, that portion of the match. So then we're going to Brock Lesnar and Oba Femi, which they put these elaborate video packages together over the past week. And out comes Brock. I mean, Brock was a superstar on this show to this crowd. They are focused on Brock Lesnar, the wrestler. And Heyman introduces Brock, even speaks some Italian. And then Oba comes out to his big reaction. And Lesnar...
Not only were they like chanting for Brock, they were singing like Brock Lesnar's theme, which I don't think I've ever heard before in the man's entire career.
Yeah, maybe that's what this theme needs, is some lyrics on top of it.
I mean, these were more oohs than lyrics, but yeah, it was quite incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Look at this guy.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Retirement's done him well.
It's that Saskatchewan grade moose, I bet.
I think it's Alberta now. I think he's gone.
Oh, yeah?
I think he's gone a little bit west.
Oh, okay.
So Lesnar jumps him at the bell, and boom, 1 F5, 2 F5s, 3 F5s. He keeps telling Oba to get up, hits him with a 4th F5, and Oba Femi kicks out. And we know exactly what type of match we are doing here. He is shocked. I mean, Brock's facial reactions, I thought, really made this match because he's just in shock that this guy has survived. So he goes to his next weapon, the Kimura. And Oba's in the Kimura, but rises to his feet, slamming Lesnar off, and the fans are applauding this. Lesnar goes for the arm again, and Femi is fighting it, driving him into the turnbuckle, and manages a choke slam. But then Out comes Lesnar with another F5. Oba kicks out. Then he goes for another F5, and it's turned into a choke slam, of which the timing was off here, and Brock barely. It was just they were just at different speeds here on this choke slam spot. So Lesnar clotheslines Oba right over the top. They fly to the floor, and Oba's injured arm gets sent into the post. Another Kimura is attempted, and Lesnar posts him and F5s Oba through the desk. And this crowd is loving this. Oba's dead on the floor. The crowd is counting in Italian, but then Oba rises to his feet, breaks the count, and Lesnar, they just show a shot of him. He is stunned. He doesn't know what to do here. Femi launches Lesnar. Fall from grace gets blocked, and the 7th F5 keeps Oba down in 6 minutes and 21 seconds. Cole calls this a fight and a war, and we go to this close-up on Lesnar, who says, +1.
1 plus 1.
Well, he said, yeah, 1 plus 1.
Yeah.
You're done, bitch.
I thought he said your turn.
I think he said you're done.
Oh, you're done? Okay, whatever. Well, but the implication is that what? Like, they're heading to a third, right? Isn't that?
Well, if he said you're done, I would say that would mean.
Why would that make sense? 1 plus 1, you're done? It just means they're even.
Well,
anyway,
that's what he said. That's what he said.
I thought he said your turn. You could be very right. But in either case, I mean, I think anybody at this point would expect Brock Lesnar to have some significant match from at SummerSlam, and therefore his career will likely continue either until SummerSlam certainly, or at least like maybe even in the interim he might do another match. But
yeah, it was you're done. It was you're done.
Oh, okay, all right then. You're right. I don't know what he meant by that. 1 plus 1. It just that's not really done to me. But I think like a lot of us expected a Brock Lesnar win. We just didn't really know how they would get there while protecting the aura of Oba Femi in a loss on the main roster. But their answer was to have Brock Lesnar attack before the bell and then just apply constant pressure, not just through power, but a combination of the F5s and the Kimura lock, which I don't think has been as well utilized by Brock Lesnar in his repertoire in quite a while. So I thought it was quite unique to see it done, especially on like a larger opponent like Oba Femi here. I think it like Brock kind of like had to imply smaller man strategy here against somebody who was as big as Femi in order to weaken him for the F5s, which I thought was very effective. I think having Femi be able to power out of the Kimuras into power bombs and things like that like made Femi look incredible. Femi, by the end to me, felt like he put out an incredible fight, and he did not to me lose anything in this loss. He came out looking like he was still a monster who simply succumbed to a guy because he got jumped at the beginning of the match. So I felt like, using the Lesnar playbook, which at this point seems to be the only effective Brock Lesnar style of match, is like your spammer finishing, spammer. What do they call those? Finisher spamming. Yes, that's right. Finisher spamming, sort of like, quick burst match. I thought this was like a really good example of that style. And I think it perfectly sets the stage for a third match.
Yeah, I thought this was like, for what it was, I thought this was excellent. Like in some ways, I thought this was the match of the show. I thought like you can argue about, okay, do you want to beat Oba or not? I thought like, okay, if you're beating him, like they made this out to be like the best 6 minutes they could possibly do. Is very much like that last Lesnar Goldberg match that they did at WrestleMania 33, where it was like, it was around the same length of time, and it was just nonstop action between the two. And I thought this was one where you just presented this, crazy, like your Brock Lesnar video game style of match, but kind of the best version of it. It opens up for the third match, and I thought this was really, really well done. Like I think one of my criticisms of WWE booking is that they are so fearful of beating anybody that you just get so much of this. Like so much is about protecting the loser, and this one's one. Yeah, like you can look at like charging him at the bell, but it was like, if I did not find this to be a harmful one for Oba Femi.
it wasn't attacking him behind the ref's back with like a, I don't even like a steel chair or a low blow or anything like that nefarious. As far as like, you know, maybe giving it the advantage to a heel goes, I thought this was about as like fair of one. Like
if you were to be told Oba's losing this match and how they would book it, could have been a lot worse than this, of ideas that they would have come up with, just to go overboard, that you wouldn't, and the end product would have been, I think, a lukewarm interest in seeing another match out of these three. Instead, I think there will be juice for a third match. And I guess the question is, if you, like, they've got Oba in the King of the Ring tournament, and what you do with him. And based on this line, if we're taking it as "you're done, bitch," is this going to be Oba having to draw Brock back now? Or is Brock like Ronda Rousey now, where she comes back, gets the big win, and then she says, "Hey, Holly Holm, I'd clean your clock, but I'm done. I'm retired." And Oba's got to convince Brock now to come back for Oba to settle this, and it's Brock that's going to be the one that, like, if they're not doing this till SummerSlam, like, you have to keep these guys apart for that time, because I don't see them doing this in Saudi Arabia, and SummerSlam makes the sense for this third match, and that's 2 months away.
Yeah. I guess I don't necessarily expect Oba Femi to win the King of the Ring then, you know, if that's the story. Because I don't think this will be a title match at in Minnesota. Yeah. I mean, because that would require Lesnar to beat the current champion for this to be it for Oba Femi.
Maybe this is his championship that he's going for. It's Brock Lesnar.
Well,
he's going for the Brock championship.
To me, the big question is like whether or not we may still get Brock versus Gunther, and you know, if
I think that's out the window.
I think it's out the window, and I think like they've established enough interest in Oba Femi versus Lesnar as a feud, especially now with, you know, it leading to a third match, that I'd rather see a third match between these two than the Gunther match.
They're not booking this if not to do the third match. Like, I think that's very clear. It just the two characters of Brock and Gunther make no sense to cross at this point. Like, I think that ship sailed, and this is the focus.
Yeah, it's a bigger story, and it feels like a more earned, if in fact SummerSlam is Brock's actual retirement, it feels like a more earned sort of like big long-term story to have him face Oba Femi one more time, and for Oba Femi to definitively beat him, you know.
The only other thing I'll add to this, and I'm sure there will be some that will argue about Oba losing, is, okay, your one option is like Oba could have won this, but it's like, where do you go next with him? Like, unless it's boom, putting him over Roman Reigns next. Yep. But if that's not in the cards, like, where does an Oba go after this? Like, he's kind of hard to book when he's this red hot, and you're not ready to put him in that championship program. That, you know, this keeps him away until you are ready to go full throttle on Oba Femi. And maybe after this third Brock match, maybe that is your time to do it. I'm thinking they're like, Oba's going to be like your Mania guy next year, but I think it's going to be hard to hold him off that long, because this crowd is ready for him. And once he ends his Brock feud, I think a lot of people are going to want to see that direction.
Yeah, I don't think it's such a bad thing to complain about Oba Femi being in a featured match, you know, in a featured rivalry for the better part of the year. I'd feel like, you know, even extinguishing it here, we've kind of seen what Oba Femi is like without somebody like a Brock Lesnar next to him. I mean, he's doing these open challenges. You know, he's got nothing on these shows.
It's either Kit Wilson or Brock Lesnar. Those are his options. I
mean, and again, unless they want to end the Roman Reigns, you know, Tribal Chief run right away, it doesn't make sense to go to that program right now. So I think extending the Lesnar program only makes sense when you have so many big shows to fill, and you want like Oba Femi in prominent positions for all of them.
Austin Theory is with Braun Breaker. We got Julia in Italy and Santino Marella.
Yeah.
They flew him all the way over here for a crowd shot. Great, I mean, great to get a weekend in Italy comped. I mean, I'll take it. Sure.
It's not like this company is hurting for money, and
I don't know.
Depending on who you ask, they could afford a flight to Santino, and I suppose as like maybe
did they make Santino pay for 50% of it?
I
That's
wonder.
Their magic percentage.
I wonder, but I suppose like he's probably like prior to this show the closest tie like Italy might have to like a WWE story.
Well, it's Julia. Right? Julia's...
I meant the moment of him actually winning the championship.
Oh, yeah.
In Italy.
Yeah.
You know?
Italy by way of Etobicoke.
Mississauga, actually.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Mississauga. Yeah. Don't want to besmirch. Then they recapped Noche de los Grandes, and then we got, this scary movie ad with The Miz, Fraxium, and R-Truth. All people that should be always considered. Dude, when Nathan Fraser's losing speed matches on NXT, I was like, how have they just... This guy, man, he's going to be Johnny Gargano soon enough. He's just going to be laying out backstage.
If I have any of these guys, I'm asking for a flight to Mexico so that I can join the Triple.
Axiom, he was like, so... when are we going back to Spain? Any more dates? I mean, I can wrestle really good in many countries. Doesn't have to just be this one time a year. Becky Lynch and Sol Ruca for the Intercontinental Championship. So Jessica Carr, of course, is the referee. And I think all eyes were on Sol Ruca for this match. This was kind of the buildup of the match. Was like, oh my God, how do they redeem themselves after last weekend? Ruca hit an Orihara moonsault very early. Ruca then gets knocked off balance on the ropes, and Becky is in control. Leg drop off the buckle, and they're trading uppercuts. And then Ruca stops her with a missile drop kick, and she goes off the center of the ring for a soul snatcher, but is caught with an armbar as Becky was plenty to the side here to catch her arm. But Ruca bridges into an STF and then escapes, tries for the disarmer, can't get it on Sol, and she hits an inverted DDT, and Sol kicks out. So at this point, Becky's getting very frustrated with Jessica Carr. Sol avoids the manhandle slam and hits an X Factor off of the top, and then Becky sends Jessica Carr into the rope, knocking Ruca off balance. Becky proceeds with a superplex and tries for a DDT follow-up, but it's blocked, and Ruca sends her to the floor, goes for a space-flying tiger drop that nearly misses Becky on the landing. There was very little connection here. Sends Becky in, and once again goes for the springboard buckshot lariat. And I am now making this edict that everyone not named Adam Page need to retire this. I think it's just time that we acknowledge that this move is not as easy as Hangman appears to make it look, even when he's doing it into a bar in Stadium Stampede. It never looks good, whether you're CM Punk or Sol Ruca. This is a tough move for these people to pull off, and Sol's a great athlete, and this... We need to eliminate this.
So we've seen Logan Paul, we've seen Charlotte Flair, I guess, do like a grounded version, and we've seen Sol Ruca do a springboard version of it. And at least in like those three cases, really with Punk as well, like the element of power is missing. The athleticism might be there in doing the flip or like whatever, but like Page does it with force. You know, the point of the slingshot is not to just do a cool flip; it's to create leverage through the flip, through the velocity of the flip. And it's not something that any of them have been able to nail down yet.
So then we have so the springboard buckshot is caught as Becky hits the manhandle slam, and Becky teases going into the corner for a soul snatcher, which I so wanted to see.
I would have loved to see that.
This would have been the spot of the year.
Give me the third match just so I could see the...
Could you imagine this? Snatcher. Like, I'm going to try it on the pay-per-view. But instead, she is caught, and Sol hits her with a manhandle slam. Sol counters a sunset flip, but rather than continuing to go for the cover, just abandons it and runs into a setup for a manhandle slam. She breaks the grip and then hits the soul snatcher and just wins in 14 minutes and 2 seconds. I found this end sequence to just be a little overthought. It just seemed to be like kind of all over the place, but you got the pop you wanted. And man, just given how much criticism has been about like the booking and some of the awful looking soul snatches that we have seen, I almost felt like they were backed into a corner that they had to do this finish because Sol Ruca losing this match, I just think this would have set her back all that much further of what has been a pretty rough call up for this woman. And this hopefully can erase the last month and get her back on track.
I imagine this was always the plan, you know, to have her lose like 2 prominent matches on Raw, despite like, you know, putting in great effort. But like it was to eat live first, and then it was to Io, and then losing.
This was her first win Becky on the main roster, folks.
Not including the DQ last week, of course.
Yes, yeah, but that a shining moment of her resume.
But like I would assume like in the scripting of these steps that they would have expected Ruca to be like red hot heading to this particular evening, and unfortunately, largely due to last week and her not getting the victory on Becky Lynch, even in like a fluky way. Not to mention the botched Soul Snatcher. I mean, she did not feel red hot in this
And
moment.
they replayed it too on the pre-show. They bring her to the desk and they replayed it as is and get her to react to it. It was
How
wild.
did she react to it?
I mean, she reacted in character. Like, it just shows what Becky is willing to do of getting a referee involved, and I can play that game too. But it's like they just show it verbatim. I was like, this is not helping matters.
Yeah, but I mean, even the scripting of this, I feel like it certainly comes across more like a make good than somebody who feels hot enough to be a champion at this point. I thought the match was enjoyable overall, though maybe not perfectly smooth, you know, and it's maybe for me, it's part of the enjoyment is like the fact that like, well, it was spectacular, but I also think like we're putting a microscope now on Ruca now following some of these botches. And I think she works a style that invites a lot of possibility for mistakes because it's such a tightrope walk with so much what she does. But overall, it was fine with that lone blemish, maybe being the Sasuke special falling a bit short. Otherwise, everything either looked at least passable or good. I still think these main roster nerves might be affecting her a little bit. But for sure, the only thing that needed to be 100% perfect was the Soul Snatcher at the end, and they did do it well. Like they almost kind of made it as foolproof as possible by not having Soul needing to like really run up to the ropes. Even like she was just kind of stationary, and it was just like this. Let's give you like the easiest position possible in order for you to hit this flip so that you can hit this thing, and they got it. They got the reaction. So I am concerned though about like this sort of title switch because again, Ruca does not feel hot enough as a character to carry the division. So I worry that she'll have a less than impressive run. It'll be deemed a failure and she'll find herself kind of stuck in this position rather than advanced, you know, to another level with maybe something that feels a bit more organic, but we'll see.
I think she needs her Darby Allin run here.
You think it defends every single week? Multiple times a week?
Yeah. She needs to learn from Sabu, okay? And start like, what does every wrestler bring up? It's like, you know, Sabu would always say when there was a botch, he meant to do the botches. So the fans were chanting, "You fucked up," and he was thinking ahead.
Homicidal,
That's what Soul's got to start just telling
suicidal.
everyone, like, I meant to do that.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, so she's going to have to earn favor with the crowd through the wrestling, through spectacular performances. So the microscope is still going to be on her.
What if she came out every week and held an open challenge?
I think that could be very possible. That's sort of
when we don't have an idea, it's an open challenge.
It is the Paul Levesque sort of mid-card babyface default, isn't it? But it's not bad for a Ruca to have that gimmick, you know, as long as she can live up to it and display beautiful Soul Snatchers every single week, which she'll have to do.
Did she snatch it tonight?
Like it was, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, they put her in a position where I thought like it wasn't the most impressive Soul Snatcher that we've seen, and that was fine. She just needed to get it this time.
Javon, Io, Ethan Page, and Lyra are in the crowd. No word on how much this set them back ticket-wise. And they promote that we will get the brackets on the post show for the King and Queen of the Ring. And that's taking us to Tribal Combat, Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu for the World Heavyweight Championship. So Jacob Fatu had been injured earlier in the tour in Liverpool, but went through here with the match. And it didn't appear like...
injury?
I do not know the specifics of the injury itself.
Not a red limping, but I mean, again, like he hit it well, whatever it was, whatever the injury was in this match.
I mean, they went 27 minutes here. Yeah. It was an electric atmosphere. They certainly had that going for them. And early on, the Tongan death grip is teased and Reigns rolls out of the ring. And Cole brings up the rumors of Jacob Fatu being hurt, but Corey Graves just dismisses it. He's like, he's not showing it. It's like, well, then why'd you bring it up? They fight into the crowd. And throughout the night, we had seen this giant like staircase, and they finally brawled towards this green and white staircase. They fought by a concession area.
Can I just say, I think that's a great idea for a venue to have like a really wide staircase so everybody can leave like quickly, right?
Yeah,
now, on camera, it might not look amazing.
What if one person falls down, though, as there's a whole swarm of people trying to get out of here? It's a narrow staircase. There's no railings here. If you're right in the middle of that thing, that was a wide staircase.
So you're saying the fact that there are more people would somehow encourage somebody to fall?
I'm just saying, if everyone was going up those stairs at the same time and someone trips or something, it's a domino effect.
Okay, as opposed to like what, like a narrow staircase that you get caught up.
I'm just saying it's very wide. You could have like 10 people in a row going up this thing. It just looked like I wouldn't want to be in a giant crowd leaving an arena on the. I guess
something tells me that people might be good at walking up the stairs enough that they
Did you see how much these fans were drinking? I wouldn't trust a soul here. So they fight back. The crowd's chanting for tables. And then they do the spot where Fatu lifts up the ring skirt, teasing the tables. But then as Roman comes back, Fatu shuts it down. And it's Roman that reopens it to get the table out. Like, very babyface spot. And I will say this, one thing that to me affected this match was this was a crowd that, like, they were here for Roman Reigns. Like, they were chanting for him. And there's a spot later when Jacob puts the death grip on. And you would think this place goes nuts at the idea of Roman's title. It was like they did not react that way. Like, this was a crowd that was pretty pro Roman Reigns. Like, Jacob had his moments, but this was like Roman's crowd, it felt like, for most of it.
They weren't booing Fatu necessarily, but they were cheering much more for Roman Reigns, who was a superstar. And I feel like that's an expected reaction, right? Like, despite the fact that this story, up until maybe yesterday, or sorry, Monday, maybe up until Monday, was very much like Jacob Fatu going after like the like super babyface going after the unbeatable Roman Reigns. But especially once you get to international crowds, I mean, they're going to react to the big celebrity stars, and that's Roman Reigns.
Well, when this Tongan death grip is applied, the crowd is cheering on Roman as he fights it off, and Reigns gets dumped over the top. There were all these Superman punches. And then Reigns brings out the dreaded toolbox, and he smashes Jacob's hand, the death grip hand, and runs it. He smashes it in the steps, more Superman punches, and then spears Fatu through the barricade. Folks, the announcers made no mention of this, but my God, if you somehow missed this, please go watch this spot. Not for Roman, not for Jacob Fatu, but for the lowly security guard whose back was against this barricade and got pummeled in this. This guy was the best actor on this entire show because this barricade just ate him up, and he's trapped underneath this thing, and he's screaming. I couldn't take my eyes off it, and it was like nobody made any attention to this poor security guy. It was the funniest thing I have seen in a wrestling match.
Well, it would be the security guards who would be helping out, and both of them were laid out. There was another guy who was flat out dead on the other side.
I just thought this was great.
I love this addition to this barricade spot, which usually takes place on, I guess, towards the ring, the bell ringer.
Yes.
But having it done on this barricade with the two security guards getting laid out as well as they were, I thought was awesome. Like, it was probably the highlight of the match.
Yeah, it might have been. So the security is dead, and then he spears Jacob another time in the ring, but Jacob kicks out, and Reigns is telling Fatu that I don't need help to beat you. I don't have the Usos here. So he rips off the turnbuckle pads, and this is repeating like Backlash, how the match ended. And Jacob tries for the Tongan death grip, but can't hold on because of the hand being compromised. So he eats these Superman punches, but he won't go down. He's rammed into the exposed turnbuckles, and then Reigns goes for a spear, but he's cut off by Fatu's spear, misses the mighty moonsault, but then connects with a pop-up Samoan, and then hits the mighty moonsault. Reigns kicks out. Reigns breaks out of the Tongan death grip and repeatedly drives Fatu's head into the exposed buckle, spears Fatu through a table in the corner, and one final spear keeps Jacob Fatu down in 27 minutes and 12 seconds. And you know what, folks? Sometimes when you're Michael Cole, you save those big calls for the biggest shows of all. And this was one that this one will live on as Roman Reigns hoists up the title. And Michael Cole proclaims, "The Samoan werewolf has been neutered. He has been domesticated. The neutered Jacob Fatu.
I mean,
I didn't think
there's a lot of talk about dogs in the lead up to this.
Well, he now will get dog walked. Okay, maybe they'll bring in a Milano collection to teach. And yeah, so the Usos appear. They put the Ula Fala onto Roman Reigns. And first, let's talk about the match. I thought this match was fine. I don't think it touched the Backlash match from last month. I don't know if this was Jacob Fatu dealing with an injury. It wasn't a bad match, but I didn't feel this one. It really had the crowd really into Jacob Fatu, like ending this title reign. And I just felt like there was a spark missing that the Backlash match I thought had much more of.
I agree. I thought the match was a bit lacking in drama and suspense, especially for something that's billed as sort of your ultimate match type between two Samoans. Which is, I mean, we know Tribal Combat is essentially a hardcore match, but I think you have a bit more expectation for this than your typical WWE hardcore match, and this didn't really elevate it beyond that. You know, it didn't really feel all that dangerous or even that creative in its spots. I did like Roman injuring Jacob's hand in order to at least weaken the Tongan death grip. I love the barricade spot with the two security guards getting killed.
That was the high point of the match, okay, was the fate of these security guards.
But that hardly, I felt, represented something that I think is still relatively well protected, like a tribal combat themed hardcore match. I did not like the overusage of the turnbuckle by the end here, which I think did more to kill my belief in the gimmick rather than make Fatu look strong. But beyond that, I felt like the match was largely kind of average and somewhat forgettable in the sort of like array of like, you know, Roman Reigns matches. It was just, it felt like another one, and not one that will stand out for me for many reasons, despite an incredible crowd that I think gave him every advantage to do something a bit more memorable here. So I don't think it was the war that this should have been, you know.
So the Usos put the Ula Fala on Roman. They explained Jacob must acknowledge Roman tomorrow night, and then he has to serve Roman. And as the Usos and Roman are leaving, there we spot Solo Sikoa with Tama Tonga and Tala Tonga. And I thought we were going to hear Roman yell, "I thought there were 4 of you. What happened?"
There are 5 before.
You're right. Yes, they are. Sorry, everyone's forgotten about poor Mateo. So he just eyes Solo, and then Jacob spots them as well before Jay instructs Jacob to follow them out of here. And in the closing scene, we have Roman Reigns talking to the camera. Now they know who the head of the table is, who the captain of the ship is. QB1, fuck that noise. It's the tribal chief. And that was his exit. And they would do, they did post a video after where Cody is walking in the back and he walks past Roman Reigns. They stop. They have a stare down. There's no words exchanged. And then Cody keeps walking. So it would look like they're long term. They are hinting at Cody matches. Short term with Gunther, and then matches with Punk that they've teased, and ultimately doing another Roman match down the road. Okay. Because they did have Cody on the post show where he stated Gunther can have a rematch. He saw the replay, and he also mentioned being 1-1 with Roman Reigns. So.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. When you say down the road, how far down the road? Like,
I think very far. Yeah, perhaps. I don't see it being SummerSlam. I see Cody and Punk being potentially SummerSlam.
Yeah, I guess it's time to set up another Cody versus Roman match. I mean, it's still.
I mean, it was going to be this year's Mania, but they felt like it was too soon, or people didn't want it because they did this whole deal at War Games last year. They pretty much told you this match is coming.
Okay. Yes. And it being Saudi Arabia, I suppose, like maybe the first time in Saudi Arabia, maybe that's sort of the gimmick. Okay. Yeah. It's all in all, I felt like this was a world-class crowd, but I thought it was a show that felt somewhat skippable in its booking, or maybe just even, a bit flatter in execution. Cody and Gunther to me was enjoyable for the time that they had, but it was basically a teaser for the actual match to come. Rhea and Jade, again, I think, mostly there as maybe sort of like epilogue to the WrestleMania match, and also even that I thought was taken down several notches by the rough interference spots. Brock Oba Femi, I actually thought was good to me. Like maybe
I thought it was the
wouldn't
best
disagree.
match on the show. Like for like some people might like technically enjoy Cody and Gunther better, but for what they wanted to accomplish, I thought that worked. And I know it will sound odd. I think that was the right time for that length of match. Whereas like Cody and Gunther, like I understand like you're building this for something else, but I just think for how big they promoted this match, that awesome segment they did on SmackDown, I was underwhelmed with just 11 and a half minutes. I thought it was a very abrupt finish, and I just on a 5-match show, like I think this show could have used like 20 minutes of those two. I don't think anyone would have been complaining about that either. Like I know you had to fit this on the ESPN hour and all, but for one of your big championship matches, I just found that to be underwhelming for what they had built, even if it was match number 1 of like this current series.
Yeah, and I was underwhelmed by the main event, which I felt maybe had to deliver extra, considering you weren't getting a proper finish in Cody versus Gunther. Becky versus Sol was the lone, maybe title switch and also like relevant result you could point to towards somebody who might have missed the show otherwise. And I thought it was fine, but I simply did not feel like now is the right time for Sol. So, to me, like a thumbs in the middle type of show.
That's where I'm going. Yes, not the best WWE show of the weekend. So the post show, beyond Cody did his interview, we recapped that. They also did an angle where Charlotte got jumped by Jade, Cargill, B-Fab, and Michin. So that was one angle they did. Let's quickly talk about these brackets. So the King of the Ring, it's a 16-person tournament for both. So a lot of TV matches coming up over the next month. So the men's side, we have Penta against Oba Femi, Solo Sikoa against Carmelo Hayes, Dominic Mysterio against Braun Breaker, and Trick Williams against Damian Priest. The other side of the bracket features Seth Rollins against Javon Evans, Tala Tonga against Ricky Saints, Jey Uso against LA Knight that they teased last week, and Royce Keys against Finn Balor. The interesting part about that is that everyone here is kind of like color-coded, and these are like Raw with Raw talent, SmackDown with SmackDown talent, and that would kind of indicate Finn Balor is on SmackDown. He's paired here with Royce Keys.
Yes, you're right. I mean, does that mean anything?
Well, it's like everybody
does it just
else
mean
on
that
the
the
show
match? Does it mean just the match will take place on SmackDown, or the fact that he's permanently on SmackDown?
Well, I'm just saying everybody else on the show, they are with their acknowledged brand on both the men's and women's side. So
right, yeah,
it's the only one that bucks that trend. So
okay, yeah,
whatever. I mean, the world is changed forevermore. Who would you look at as, like what are your possibilities for the finals here if we look at it that way?
This is actually the first time I'm looking at these brackets.
Okay.
So I don't really have much of a. Why don't you go first, John? You let me know.
Well, I would say that I'm really. I would say Oba Femi has to at least go to the finals of this tournament. I don't see them beating him beforehand. He would be my thought there, and I guess who he would meet in the semifinals. I mean, you would probably be looking at either Trick or Braun Breaker. I'm imagining Seth and Braun are going to cancel each other out in this tournament because I could see them doing this. Like they've already set up that they're going to be doing the match, so unless they do it on Raw, I could see those two ending up on the card itself. So Oba on that side. The other, if you take out Rollins, I mean Royce Keys and LA Knight are sort of the ones you would be looking at as the potentially. I just don't know how hot LA Knight is at this moment here. I mean, Oba and Royce Keys kind of has that, here are the two big monsters on each show squaring off.
Have they announced that the winners will receive their title matches at SummerSlam?
I don't think they've officially announced that yet.
Right.
I think that's the expectation given the precedent of prior, unless they have stated that.
Yeah. So in all of this, I mean, Femi is maybe the obvious choice, just given how protected he is. Maybe you would say Breaker being protected is also another obvious choice. But
But you can definitely do something with Seth in there. I could imagine.
So maybe unless Femi, like, if the winner is facing the champion at SummerSlam, then I think that wouldn't be Femi, because I think we're all expecting at this point Femi versus Lesnar at SummerSlam.
Yeah. Which he could still win this, and it doesn't necessarily have to. I mean, there's ways around it. I don't think it's a disqualifying factor that you could have Femi. I see Femi at least in the finals here.
So, but as far as like maybe just considering maybe it won't be Femi, maybe it won't be Breaker because he and Rollins might cancel each other out. I actually think LA Knight might be the best choice. You know, it sounds crazy right now, but
of all these people, who could you see headlining SummerSlam for the championship?
I don't think it would be a headlining match. I mean, it would maybe be the ESPN match. You know,
like seriously, the only answers are Oba Femi and Seth Rollins in my mind.
But again, it doesn't have to be the headliner. It could be the opener. Right.
It's 2 nights, man. Like you kind of need a big match here.
Brock Lesnar's retirement is one of your big matches. I don't think that needs a championship. So I only say at night because like he has a long-term feud with the Bloodline, and yes, he has been pretty ice cold for many, many weeks, many months even. But I think having him win the King of the Ring might be their way to, like, you know, escalate him back up to the top, and a challenge against Roman Reigns on a big stage, to me, feels like it might be one of your last attempts at trying to rally these crowds into believing that LA Knight can be a champion. And I think there's a story to be told there.
So as we said earlier, no Gunther in this tournament, no Sami Zayn, and no CM Punk. I guess those would be the major names that are omitted from the tournament. I think this actually works well for Sami Zayn to be overlooked here. He's not of the top 16 men's performers. Yes. I think that's actually pretty good for his
He's
character.
Probably facing Cody before that anyway.
I'm really curious. Like, I thought that was a potential, like, either, like, it could have been either Cody and Sami in Saudi Arabia, or you could have run back like Gunther and Sami Zayn in Saudi Arabia had you put the belt on Gunther here. But it seems to feel like you're going with Cody and Gunther, and I don't know where Sami fits in at a Night of Champions, but he's kind of in that periphery. Queen of the Ring. We have on one side of the bracket Liv Morgan, who is the women's champion, by the way. She explained she wants it all. That's why she's entered this tournament. Maybe instead of defending the title at SummerSlam, she will debut her second hit single.
Oh, okay.
That's headline with a music video. That's what she gets tournament.
She could do another dance.
Yes, exactly. Okay. So she will take on Becky Lynch in the first
round. So these are 4 ways. Right?
No, these are singles matches, aren't they?
But the brackets show.
Oh,
actually, let's take a look at.
No, you're right.
Yeah,
you're right.
These are 4 ways, like they were last year.
Wait, the last bracket, was that the same? Was it 4 ways?
I believe so. Yeah.
Can you go back on the graphic?
I thought these were singles to the last. So look at what the brackets are. Look at what. Yeah, the last one was the same. Yeah.
Oh. I didn't even realize these were 4 ways. I thought these were singles matches. I'm sorry. Okay, well,
it still kind of stands.
I mean, it's still the same.
Our picks are all separated, right? Like being Femi, Breaker, Rollins, Knight. Those are probably the 4 winners that are heading in my opinion.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
So Finn Balor being on SmackDown, I guess maybe there's something to that, perhaps. Like Finn being coated blue, whatever that means.
Yeah, I guess. Okay. Well, okay, whatever. So,
all right. Okay.
So we have Liv, Becky, Alexa Bliss, and Chelsea Green. That's one 4-way. Then it is Sol Ruca, Lyra Valkyria, Charlotte, and Jade Cargill in the other one. Roxanne Perez, Io Sky, Julia, and Lash Legend. And then the final one is Bayley, Raquel Rodriguez, JC Jane, and Kiana James. That's a mouthful right there.
Jane and James.
I don't think Liv Morgan is winning this tournament. That's
I don't think
that's
so
my
either.
first prediction. I don't think that Kiana James is winning this tournament.
Do you think Chelsea Green?
No.
Why don't you pick your match? Pick the winners. Pick the winners of each match.
Okay, the 4-way. I'm gonna go Becky.
Yeah.
The next one, who do we have? Sol Ruca, Lyra Valkyria, Charlotte, and Jade. I imagine Flair and Jade are both going to get eliminated in this thing. I'll go Sol Ruca. Does that get us a rematch with Becky and Sol? I don't know if we need another one of those.
Yes.
Io in the top one. I could see Io actually winning this. I think it's I think she needs something at this present time. And then the other one, Bailey, Raquel, JC.
It's got to be JC. In fact,
JC,
to
JC
me,
and Io Sky. Yeah.
JC feels like top pick for
to win
this tournament, in my opinion. I mean, as far as like crowning somebody who's like on the cusp of that level, I feel like Jane would benefit the most from it. Now, do you want to go that early with her challenging for the championship? I would say yes to all of that. Like, so I would pick JC Jane.
I think JC just advancing and having a really excellent match with Io would actually do a lot for JC. I don't know if she necessarily has to win, but she does seem to be like, she has a lot of momentum at the moment that they might feel is more valuable than Io in this. This one's a little more wide open. You can go in several different directions on this one.
Yeah. I mean, maybe we could do our predictions like proper predictions a little bit closer once we see how a lot of things play out.
No Tiffany Stratton in this one, by the way.
She's champion, so I mean that doesn't mean anything.
Liv Morgan is the champion. We have Sol Ruca's in this.
Yeah, you're right. Well, she's just lazy.
She's a secondary champion. So okay, we won't try to overthink the bracketing in a WWE tournament. I can't even read brackets, so that's how that goes. Do you want to do feedback first, or do you want to talk a little bit about this mask versus mask match?
Okay, let's do feedback. Well, unless there's feedback for the AAA show as well.
I did include. Let's do feedback at the end because
sure. Okay, we'll do feedback and super chats at the end. So if you guys have any thoughts that you still want to get in, you still have a bit of time, either at forum.postwrestling.com or through super chats here at youtube.com/postwrestling.
Okay. So last night was AAA's big Noche de los Grandes show from Arena Monterrey. This crowd was just incredible for the entirety of this show. It featured 3 title changes on the undercard, with Rey Fenix winning the AAA Cruiserweight Championship against Laredo Kid, which I guess guarantees this guy is going to be a mainstay in a AAA, which is I'm sure what his hopes were when he came over to WWE, that he would be on a...
But if the alternative is to be backstage helping R-Truth figure out how to use the ESPN app, or simply, I don't know, reacting to the gingerbread man in his funeral, I think he's probably quite happy.
I'm sure these are all the things that he was hopeful of when leaving. El Hijo del Vikingo defeated El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. for the Latin American Championship after multiple run-ins here. Galeno got involved. Omos got involved. Mini Vikingo. Omos, dude, took some bumps in this match. He took like a million chair shots from Galeno, and then Omos nailed Wagner with a right hand and a 630, won it for Vikingo. And then it was the mega powers exploding. Pagano and Psycho Clown losing the tag belts to the War Raiders after a errant clothesline, as Pagano clotheslined Psycho, and then Pagano sent out of the ring, and the War Raiders win the belts, and Psycho is just livid with Pagano. They shove each other, and Pagano turns his back. He walks out, and the War Raiders attack Psycho Clown, and Pagano, he basically does the same, the Sami Zayn deal with Cody Rhodes. He turns around, watches Psycho Clown being attacked, and the crowd thinks he's going to come back, and he turns his back, and this crowd was so mad as he walked out and left his partner for dead. So, I mean, it was a fine undercard, 3 title changes. We should also mention, this is probably like a very significant story, is that WWE has announced multiple dates in Mexico in September. They're going to do a live event on September 9th in Guadalajara, September 10th in Monterrey, and then they are doing SmackDown in Mexico City on September the 11th, which is the same night as the first Triple Mania, and then Raw in Mexico City on September 14th. Now, what's so interesting about this is that WWE is coming, and they're doing Mexico City for 3 nights between SmackDown, the second night of Triple Mania, and Raw, 1 week before Triple Mania is running at Arena Mexico. So this is a pretty significant deal of WWE bringing its main roster to Mexico City. I don't think this is going to impact Triple Mania the CMLL anniversary card from selling out, but the CMLL anniversary show is airing the next weekend in Mexico City. So this is like the first major move by WWE that seems very combative with CMLL.
Interesting. Yeah. I don't know if there'll be that much effect, right?
I think CMLL is so red hot that and what will be interesting is that, CMLL of how much they load up this anniversary card, but this is certainly like a significant, move by WWE, like opting this week of all weeks to be bringing Raw and SmackDown plus a Triple Mania. They've also announced a location. So that Friday night, the first Triple Mania will be in Las Vegas, and they're running it at the Luxor Hotel, which like they're going to draw like 1,000 people to this thing. And then 2 nights later, they're running Arena Ciudad, which is like 18,000 people. Like, it's just blows your mind. It would be like doing WrestleMania one night at the ECW arena and then doing like the next, but I also don't know how much they would necessarily draw in Vegas as opposed to Mexico. Like, they want to run Vegas, but this
Probably
is
more than 1,000, you would hope.
I would think so too. Like, is it really that much worth it as opposed to like, could they, I don't know if they'd sell out 2 nights in Mexico City, but I think they'll do really well for at least one night in Mexico City. And I mean, even if you had done 2 nights at Arena Ciudad, like, you're still going to draw a hell of a lot more than 1,000 for the first night, a lot more. So let's get into this mask versus mask match. This match was over 33 minutes, but the entire presentation, this was basically an hour from start to finish. They re-aired that great video, and for all the complaints about the utilization of AI for this program, in the end, this thing conjured the most genuine emotion you could possibly squeeze out of a WWE match in 2026. This was, I mean, we had the mariachi band to welcome in both guys. It is, I would go and clearly state this was the highlight of these two men's careers. And I don't know if Chad Gable will ever have a night like this again in his career. It's possible, but I don't know that.
I feel like with Gable, you might point to the Gunther match with his family, like ringside, the one where his daughter was crying, as maybe one of like the other highlight prior to this. This was, as far as like crowd reaction goes, maybe just in terms of like just simple, pure professional wrestling accomplishment. I mean, this one certainly felt bigger tonight, but yeah, those would be the two.
Like, here you had a sold out venue. It's just, the heat was, as you could imagine, just electric for the entire time of this match. 33.5 minutes. We had blood from both. They each were tearing at the mask of each other. I thought Gable was just fantastic as the heel in this match. And Kaiser was such a great babyface that, like, he would just sell and sell and sell, but then he would get that rallying cry, and this crowd, just anything he would do, they were just in love with Kaiser as he would fight back. Of course, you got the run-ins from like Brutus and Julius that led to Ryo and Bravo getting involved, and Bravo doing this huge dive off the stage, which was very high up. Forgive me, I don't remember this guy's name, but the blind comedian that was part of this angle, he was there in the front row, and Gable goes to put his hands on him, and Kaiser saves him. There was a spot where Pimpinella Escarlata shows up under a mask and smashes a guitar over Gable's head for a huge near fall. But then, maybe the star of the match, Andrea Bazarte, the fired ring announcer and girlfriend of Ludwig Kaiser, shows up in the front row where she has produced a ticket, and JBL mentions, last I heard of her, she was getting in a fight in an elevator in Florida. And that was our reference to the recent arrest. And she shows her ticket. Gable walks up, and then Gable gets attacked by Kaiser, and it's Gable then just smashing his ankle with the chair. Kaiser gets La Cavanaria, and then Gable rolls back to the ankle lock. Finally, Kaiser breaks free. The straps come down, and after the chaos theory, Kaiser kicks out, and both men, after this war of attrition, just struggle to their feet. Kaiser has his arm around Gable and then hits this, he just runs the ropes and hits the big diving headbutt to put Gable down at 33 minutes and 20 seconds. And then this post-match, dude, the finest moment of Chad Gable's career. He's got his family in the ring. He does the whole traditional unmasking, announcing his name and where he is from. I mean, if you were following this, like it's it's kind of goofy the way everyone was like, "Oh my God, it's Chad Gable under this mask. Who would have thought?" And he explains that he put this mask on to learn the art of lucha so I could beat all the luchadors I hated. But on that journey, I learned about lucha. I learned about Mexican culture, and tonight I could not overcome the Mexican spirit. I will always be the original El Grande Americano, but tonight you are the only El Grande Americano. And as he unmasks, the whole arena starts chanting Gable. And this is where he states he's been a pro wrestler for 13 years. And he says, I will be back in AAA, and hands over his bloody mask to Kaiser. And in the most surreal close to a WWE show, it ends with the mariachi band playing this like romantic song as Kaiser and
Cielito Lindo.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Kaiser and Andrea are dancing in the ring as then Kaiser makes his way up the stage to conclude this. This was just unbelievably great.
It was beautiful. And I feel like it would be surprising to recognize that by the end of the year that this would be on many people's best of lists.
Oh, this will get match of the year votes. Like this, in terms of emotion, dude, I didn't think anything was going to come close to Tanahashi Okada this year, but this did. Like this was unbelievable. Like it was. This was the finest like presentation since WWE has come into dude. This is one of the finest things like I've seen on a WWE show in a long time. Like you could look at like Cody's win from a few years ago. Like in terms of a presentation and match, I think this was the best WWE match I've seen this year. Like it was better than Reigns and Punk at Mania. It was better than some of Styles' last matches. Just everything from the match itself to the post match. I mean. Yeah, like this will get votes for match of the year, and it will not be unwarranted. Like they really just did an incredible job with this.
It felt very much like it was the Cody Rhodes WrestleMania 40 moment, but here with, I would say, a much more ridiculous sort of like setup. But if you've kind of been paying attention, especially I imagine if you're paying attention as a Mexican, the idea that this, was initially a gimmick made to mock Lucha Libre, by Chad Gable. But because somebody like a Ludwig Kaiser not only took this ball, but somehow made it so completely like, I would say different by fucking learning a language, or at least getting way more into a language than you would expect anybody in his role to get into, being able to drop in slang and really, really, really embracing the Lucha Libre Mexican culture, not to mention the whole elevator story that is now part of the lore of all of this. Again,
this guy is now a hero. He's
not
just
to
a
condone
hero.
it, but it is all part of the bottled up emotion that got released here. And it just made for one of the most incredible atmospheres that I think you'll ever see in a professional wrestling event. And on top of that, you had a remarkable performer like Chad Gable be able to orchestrate this type of performance, knowing exactly what to do. This is the best heel work he's ever done in his career.
Oh, easily.
And as a ring general in this match, he looked mean, he looked vicious, and completely in control, knowing exactly how to manipulate and orchestrate this crowd. And as a babyface performance, you would have never ever predicted it from Ludwig Kaiser, but he was outstanding here. Both of them were just like perfect babyface, perfect heel, perfect crowd, incredible atmosphere, and a brilliant finish. I wonder if there was like temptation to somehow drag this thing out so that you could get that rematch, because I'm sure they would see the dollar signs here and think, how could we not do a rematch of this? I'm glad they went with the right finish, because it just made for, I think, a perfect moment, perfectly.
He's still got his hair. He could still put up his hair down the road.
I guess so. But that is the question. If you're AAA, how do you follow up on this? If your goal ultimately is to really, the big thing at the end of the rainbow for all of this is for them to get this American TV deal, right? Does this get them any closer? And if so, how do you do this again? But maybe even bigger.
Well, I would think for Triple Mania, you have to do something big with Ray. I think that's the big frontier for them is something significant with Ray, whether it's with Dominic, whether it's with his mask, something that is a major deal for Ray, I think would be the next thing. I mean, just looking at, like, I was watching this live, and I think it peaked at like 260,000 viewers on the English feed, and then it had like another 70,000 or so on the Espanol feed. But like this has over 1.5 million views on the English feed, and this was just like, to me, it had everyone's interest on Saturday night. The wild thing is that as I finished this match, part of it is thinking like, man, these feel like the two hottest guys in wrestling at the moment, and you could put these two on Raw. And in fact, Chad Gable is flying to Italy, so he's probably going to be on Raw Monday. And I'm just thinking like, yeah, this might give some spark to Gable, but it's like, these guys outside of this environment, like, they will mean nothing on Raw. They will mean nothing on SmackDown. And yet this was like, these guys drew this house. They had a match of the year contender. It was like, to me, this was one of like the all-time like of like a big time WWE main event. I just thought this was amazing.
To me, that is a failing of the WWE to not be able to translate this incredible story character onto their screen. You know, look at, like,
could you imagine like you were just watching Raw and you decided, I'm going to watch this mask versus mask match, and seeing them in this setting for the first time, and your only exposure has been on Raw? This would blow your mind.
It's to a smaller degree, but like, you know, somebody like a Mystico feels like a big deal when he shows up in AEW. You know, somebody like a Mask of Dorada, to me at least, feels like at least somebody who's well known and feels like a bigger deal in an AEW. Why couldn't they have done that with somebody who felt on this night, and like, you know, one of the biggest stars is certainly in the promotion? I would certainly say maybe in Lucha Libre. It's like, I thought they totally botched it from all of their appearances. I think they, even tonight, I feel like, you know, they could have, they mentioned it at least, but I just don't think it's in their sort of like playbook to be able to even convey something that's not on their show to a wider audience. And it's somewhat disappointing. But
do you think that Gable does get like some kind of reset on Raw, or do you imagine like he's going to be just right back into the same undercard, you know,
I think he's
heel
right back.
comedic figure?
He's right back. I mean, he'll be unmasked, and I guess he can, you know, I wonder if he'll even be a babyface. Like, they're under the expectation, and maybe they are right, that most people watching Raw, attending Raw, haven't watched a single second of AAA, right? And so, you know, look, how much can you really do at that point? But again, Gable is proving that he can be an incredible performer if given, you know, the task. Same with Kaiser. And you just hope that, you know, the office sees that and will give him a really, really strong role, whether babyface or heel, coming off of this.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, seriously, like, you have like your SummerSlam in Minnesota. Like, you would think like this guy, like,
oh yeah,
the world would be his oyster, and I just don't know if that'll be the case. But man, if you were not sold, like they were both incredible, but I came out of this like just looking at Gable. It was like, how has this guy been on your roster for this long? And like,
yeah, really,
like they've never come close to this with Chad
Vince
Gable.
Did
ever.
a lot of damage to him, man, in all those years. You know, even if like he gets a serious run now, I mean, I think he's had to work years to wash the stench of Shorty G off.
Well, we will finish off with a little bit of feedback here on the Patreon page. We do have a piece of live feedback, but we can go super chats too.
Super chats first, and let's go to Slim Sieber, who sends $10. Thank you very much, Slim Sieber. He says, "Is the Bloodline babyface? If they are, they sure act like pricks. Seems like kind of weird to have Fatu basically become a slave to a face Roman Reigns. I can't tell who is what in this story." Yes, I don't blame you for not being able to draw those lines completely.
Not in Italy, they aren't.
They were baby faces tonight, yes. But I mean, the end scene of like Reigns telling Jay to tell Jacob to follow them. I mean, it is kind of heelish, right? Jay has certainly felt a lot more like a heel than really anybody. The answer, if you ask them, would be shades of gray, okay? And above all, the crowd is favoring Roman Reigns, and Roman is choosing to win without cheating, which makes him a babyface. All that is to say, I mean, maybe it's had some negative effect on like Jacob Fatu's babyface appeal, but there's no way Fatu was going to compete against Roman Reigns as a babyface in terms of like crowd reaction tonight. Anyway.
All right. Well, we thank you for the feedback there.
Yeah, I'll keep going. Andrew Brown sends $5 to say it kind of feels like WWE is like WCW 1999, trying to go back to something that worked and not trying something new. Referring to the Bloodline, I'm assuming.
Maybe the Bloodline to Brock. Yeah. I mean, I won't go so far as to say they're in WCW 1999 territory, but they are in a shift at the moment where like you can see who their next generation of stars are, and this year is a big focus on like by the end of the year, where will Oba be, where will Braun Breaker be, where will Trick Williams be, where will Sol Roca be? Like these are like you can see who they have their attention on. Like this is a roster that more so than even looking at like their age, it's like how many years have these people been in top positions, and there does need to be that constant refresh. And I think they're aware of it. They've said as much. And that's, I like WCW in 1999. I just felt it was way too late by the time they realized we need to get new stars up and running. And 1999 was a perfect example of going with that pat hand and going back to Hogan and Nash and Savage and Sting as those were your championship level guys. And it was like, man, you need to be creating new stars, and they were not doing that in 1999.
If maybe part of the suggestion with the question is that somehow the Bloodline is like this 2026 Bloodline feels like like NWO what is it, gold, silver, and like the A team and then like the B team, like it does not feel like that at all. I think there's like still so much like fresh. Okay, maybe I think there's still a lot of life in the Bloodline, and especially in Roman Reigns as your top star. And this crowd tonight, and pretty much in every city, would agree that there's still a lot of life in seeing Roman Reigns as a top guy. And by way of like getting there through a Bloodline story, I don't think there's staleness there, at least not to me, and certainly not to the crowds.
Do you think it's a struggle? Like they are a heel group, but like tonight was an example, and it's not an isolated one. Like they do not look at Roman Reigns as like a heel like he was 3 years ago. Like like Roman is at the point now where he's like this living legend to this audience, and they see him as one of the biggest stars on the show, and to some the biggest star.
I do. Yeah, I do.
Like I thought that hurt the match tonight from Jacob's standpoint, that you didn't have this crowd that was like rallying behind the idea of the new champion that was coming for Roman's belt. Instead, it was like they were here for Roman.
Yeah, it's a struggle, but it's the story that they've chosen to tell. With Jacob and Roman in particular. Maybe you'll have a much clearer direction when it's Roman versus either a clear-cut babyface, or sorry, I should say a clear-cut heel, for his future matches. Let's lastly go to Jake from the Windy City, who sends $2. Thank you very much, Jake. He says, props to Corey Graves, must be running on zero sleep.
So Corey called the show on Saturday night. I don't believe he was there in Monterey. I mean, him and JBL are like never there. They're always doing it remotely, and I would be like, Ray was there, but Ray was not at Clash today. So, I mean, it's still a hell of a feat to have to call both shows, especially with like the time difference. Like he would have been in Europe calling that show. So, I mean, he was one of the commentary was excellent. As good as Corey Graves was on that show, I thought this was like one of JBL's best performances. He was really great, and he was just feeding off this crowd. And Ray was also. Ray was back on commentary. Savio was like one and done. So you know what? They've elevated Ray in my mind because I heard the alternative, and you know what? I'll take Ray. So he's gotten better. He's gotten better. Ray was not a natural broadcaster.
So because of the nature of like the way they record, unfortunately, it means the crowd noise has to be turned down a little bit because they're not there, right? So they have to kind of like make the announcers louder. And that unfortunately means it kind of takes a little bit away from like the atmosphere. So I would actually encourage people to watch the Spanish feed.
Yeah.
Like, for really kind of the full sound effect.
All right. Graham writes in, just got out of the arena, traveled from Dublin, Ireland to the show, paid €400 each for the Clash show and for Raw tomorrow. It was a great show. Atmosphere was next level, even if we didn't know half of the Italian chants. I was over in Vegas for Mania last year, and the atmosphere does not compare. Me and my pal seem to be the only ones booing Brock Lesnar tonight. There you have it. Brock was one of the most popular people on this show. Like he was... he got a giant reaction.
I guess I like through maybe international like boundaries, through language boundaries, how deep is the understanding of, like the Janelle Grant lawsuit? But even in English,
it's no different over here. Like
you're right. Yeah,
none of these crowds are caring about that. At all. And listen, it's like here's a big superstar on TV, and he's here for an audience that they had never had a pay-per-view before, so they were
a guy coming out of retirement that we were teased with never being able to see again.
Right? a huge retirement.
Yes.
Yeah. So maybe this is the story. Like he went into this, he was still retired for this match, right? Yeah. Isn't that the whole story? So he comes out of this, he's still retired. It actually is the Ronda Rousey story.
Right. Yes.
And Oba is Holly Holm.
Yeah, except I don't think Brock Lesnar's having kids with Travis Brown.
That we know of.
Right. Okay. So, let's keep going here. Stig from the forum.postwrestling.com. By the way, maybe we should take this opportunity to let everybody know we have an open house taking place tomorrow. Really, by the time most of you are listening to this, everything that we are releasing in the Post Wrestling Cafe will be free to all of you who sign up for a free tier membership over at postwrestlingcafe.com. What that basically means is you sign up for an account at Patreon, you give them your email, and that's it. You don't have to enter any sort of payment information, and you will get access to all of these XL editions that are coming out for Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite reviews. We've got on Post Pro Res coming out next week as well.
Tomorrow, actually. It'll be up on Monday, and WH and Karen will be talking about the New Japan sale, all the latest tournaments, Best of the Super Juniors, Champion Carnival. So that will be on the free tier Monday morning.
Yes, and also our Rewind Away this week is going to be a deep dive into Manami Toyota's career. Many people might consider her still to this day the pro wrestling women's greatest of all time. So we'll be talking about a selection of matches, talking about her career. And then Bruce and Karen will be talking about the Best of the Super Juniors final coming out later this week. And also Spider-Man Noir, MCU later returns, along with post-daily news audio updates. We're even throwing some double bonuses in for everybody over in the Post Wrestling Cafe. Sign up for a free tier, postwrestlingcafe.com.
Audio news updates and the XL versions of Rewind to Raw, Dynamite, SmackDown. So this week, sign up to the free tier. You'll get a sample of everything that we do on a weekly basis on the Post Wrestling Cafe. Is Spider-Man Noir, are you interested in that?
I would say mildly. I'm not really following anything these days, so I haven't even watched Daredevil. So I'm probably the wrong person to ask. But It does star Nicolas Cage, which does heighten my interest.
Okay, yeah. I was looking at it. I looked at it on Prime. They've released the whole 8 episodes. It's like 45 minutes each episode. So I want some feedback first. I might listen to Rich and WH's first review, and then I'll make a decision. Let's go on to. Are we at Jeremy?
You did do Stig, right? No, we didn't.
No,
right?
No, we didn't. Yeah. You were about to, and then you read you did the promotion. Why don't you start it?
Okay. Stig says an entertaining show in ring, but all very predictable, except maybe Soul's win. But that made sense because none of the other titles were changing hands. I really dislike the Gunther and Cody finish. It's one of those frustrating finishes just to make sure neither looks weak. However, if this ends up in a rematch between the two and Gunther wins, I would question why even do this finish.
Just to get to the next one, that's why.
So they could get you to watch this show.
He's talking about doing it initially. Yeah, that's it. Just to promote a match that is not going to have a solid conclusion.
Yeah. Think a dominant Gunther win and a Cody fighting back to regain the title would have been much more fun. Well, they could still do that, but after SummerSlam, you see, or whenever this match will take place. So now they will get they rather than peeking to a trilogy,
most likely. Yeah.
Rather than peeking to a trilogy, they can do 4 matches, right?
Nice. Ride it out for the year. Why not?
I also think it would have been so much more interesting if Femi would have beat Lesnar again and Lesnar was desperate for another crack. But Femi said no. Lesnar could have cost Femi the king of the ring. Well, that would babyface
why would
Brock
you want
Lesnar.
Oba turning him down like that? That should be Brock's role. Brock should be the one to deny Oba, and Oba's got to work now to get the third match with Brock.
Says Lesnar could have cost Femi the king of the ring, and then he gives Lesnar his third attempt, but says he has to put his career on the line, a la HBK and Taker. Oba going 3-0 on Lesnar would be fantastic for his push too. Okay. A rubber match has nothing at stake other than bragging rights, which don't really mean much. I really hated the spamming of F5s in this match also. Last note, the Mask versus match from AAA was amazing. One of the best matches from a WWE product this year, bar none.
I'll say this, if they decide to incorporate the retirement into this SummerSlam match with Brock and Oba, this is the lesson of AEW, who has not prostituted its stipulations, and look at what has happened now, where it's Hangman going for putting his chance to fight for the AEW title, draws a number. Title versus hair, draws a number, because there is a faith that these stipulations are going to be honored. And in this one, after that angle they did at Mania, who is possibly going to believe the retirement stipulation at SummerSlam?
Yeah, it's true.
Like, it's not like they're trying to get you to buy on pay-per-view. It's a bit of a different business, but like, that's why stipulations matter or don't matter. And this is a perfect example of one of, okay, you got 6 weeks of this fake retirement angle, and to turn around and then, okay, now, but we're serious now. Who's going to believe that when you just violated it? I mean, that's it.
The difference being, they did not promote the Mania match as a retirement match. They might promote this match coming up at SummerSlam as a retirement match.
Yeah, but who's going to believe that he's retiring this time? Just like they thought he retired the last time.
Okay, again, the expectation wasn't going in that it was retirement. In the case of John Cena, when they did promote that match as a retirement match, that they've stuck to that. In the case of AJ Styles, when they promoted that match as the final match. Or wait, I suppose they didn't promote the match as the final match, but they promoted the match as, if I lose, I will retire. That they've stuck with that, right?
They have.
All
5 months in. Jeremy in Texas. I thought it was a thumbs up show overall. The European crowds for these big events always deliver. The first hour seemed to be foot on or under the rope hour. The Gunther Cody finish felt a little flat. Maybe it was supposed to be that way with the controversial finish. Then you do a similar spot in the Rhea Jade match that was botched. Strange layout of spots in those matches.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah.
I didn't mind Brock beating Oba. It took 7 F5s, for goodness sake. If they hold off the third match until SummerSlam, it could main event night 1. This Bloodline sequel seems close to the original so far. Jacob and Jay's early story with Roman mirroring one another. Kudos to Gable and Kaiser for a great match in AAA. Plus, how about that post-match beat by Gable with the blood dripping down from his head? That's incredible. Excellent promo he gave at the end.
Now,
of the night.
Is this a rule now where, like, I guess you could blade. You could blade in WWE. Of course you could blade in WWE. Yeah. And yeah, it's certainly Mexico. It's not a big deal. Never mind.
Just not New York.
Yeah, right. Mark in Toronto says, I watched the AAA show and thought the undercard was largely fine, but missable. Maybe if I watched the show weekly, I would be more invested in Laredo Kid cheating or Vikingo's interference army or Psycho and Pagano fighting. But without that context, there are just more WWE storyline cliches I can live without. But then the main event came on, and holy smokes, what a spectacle. This crowd was unbelievable. Living and dying with Grande as he did an unbelievable selling job. The cavalcade of outside interference felt less like tired booking and more like new chapters in a one-match saga. And they turned around and made Chad Gable a sympathetic character in the end. This is the stuff that sports entertainment as a concept should be striving for. Wild, wacky, and yet with stakes you can't help but take seriously. I don't think any WWE show has felt this special since Cody beat Roman. I wonder where they go from here with AAA as a promotion. They got lucky that Grande and this program became so hot in Mexico. Was this a single stroke of luck, or is The Undertaker also secretly the best creative mind in WWE?
I mean, it's a collective. Like, The Undertaker is kind of the prime figure in the midst of this, but you have like a Jeremy Borash, who I think is a very underrated like wrestling mind as well. That's in the mix here among that like crew in AAA. But listen, AAA, it's a relatively simply booked like show week to week. Like there are some wacky angles, there's some wacky characters, but it's generally like a very easy to digest show. and they get these crowds every taping. Like they're always like, this was the highest end of it, but it's like they always get these great crowds. And I don't doubt like they will build up like Triple Mania. I don't know what kind of atmosphere they'll have in Vegas, but I guarantee you that Mexico City show will be a real big show that I would imagine that like Ray is now the general manager of the show, that you build up to him having some match of consequence at Triple Mania with whoever it is, or like Ray putting his mask up. Like, don't you think that means a whole lot more in this company than it would on the main roster?
I do.
Like you're not getting this even with Ray on a SummerSlam.
But were you making more money by offering that stipulation?
Who, WWE or Ray?
WWE.
I don't know, man. Like it could.
How much are you making from AAA?
You're not headlining with Ray at a SummerSlam. It's like it's just a match in the middle of the card. Versus here, you could sell out 16,000 tickets with a Ray match.
You could bring people into the card even if you're not headlining. And who's to say they won't headline with a Rey Mysterio mask versus career match or whatever?
I don't think it would matter as much on the main roster way.
Like you're judging it by the crowd reaction, which I agree would be massive in Mexico. But I'm also
looking at the size of this crowd.
I think Ray is a big enough name that would make a big deal. Nonetheless, okay, yes, I agree with your point that I think he should take a big role. Dominic is also, you're I would say a mega star, and now a heel.
Mask versus hair between father and son.
Yeah, that would be like. No, I would think I was actually thinking Grande versus Dominic. Like
Grande and Dominic.
Grande is by far like I think that's your ace, right?
Same thing. Yeah, mask versus hair. You could do that for the Mega Championship.
So I mean, I think that's the match.
Yeah. Well, you're going to need two matches. Like Vegas is, one. Vegas is a weird one. Like I don't know how much they load that up, and it's so weird because SmackDown is in Mexico City as a lead-in to Triple Mania in Las Vegas that night. It's kind of weird.
Again, I don't know. Maybe it's just a way to promote. Maybe again in hopes of like this TV deal. Who knows? Who knows what they got? Anything else? What else we got here?
We have John. Good action, lazy booking of finishes, and overprotecting of certain talent, though not necessarily to laughable degrees. Foot's on the rope, under the rope, in middle matches. F5, Femi kicks out. F5, Femi kicks out. F5, Femi kicks out. He says predictable, but it was fine. Enjoyed the Rhea Jade match and the
when
slower.
You reduce it like that on paper, of course it sounds like not impressive, but it's like it's not about
I thought that
it's
match
about
was
the
awesome.
intensity. It's about like it's not just about the moves on paper. It's like it's about like
execution and that crowd. They were amped for that match. I mean, they were pretty hot for a lot of the show, but seriously, I thought Lesnar and Oba, like that was my match of the show on this card. He enjoyed Rhea and Jade with the more methodical style suited Jade and made Rhea look like an underdog, and also like Becky Soul and Roman Fatu. He asks, is the bloodline heading down a heel path? I mean, I think they are. And Lesnar Oba 3 or we've talked about this. I think Lesnar Oba 3 at SummerSlam would seem.
It feels like the bigger match, certainly what they're building.
Do you do it as a straight up match? Do they throw in like some kind of stipulation for?
I think retirement is all you really need now. Like no DQ perhaps, so that you can like leave the ring and like do
street fight, sell, or just do a match.
Yeah. Something like that. I would think.
As long as Brock can do his F5s, that's all he needs.
Thing is, if they want to keep the bloodline together, then they can't be full on heels because no matter where he goes, Reigns is going to be cheered like a babyface. Mm-hmm. So they might just be like they might have an edge. They might be mean to their opponents, but I think they will always brace for Roman getting the biggest reaction on any show that he's on.
All right.
Yeah. And that's it.
Okay.
Oh, one more. Sorry. This goes. Is it my turn here? Luke closes things. He says, "Really enjoyed the show, even though the event could have been renamed Rope Breaks in Italy halfway through. No qualifiers needed here. Rhea Jade was awesome. Only blemish was the BFAB foot rope botch. Brock Oba was a fun powerhouse match. The exuberant amount of F5s were kind of unnecessary with how Oba no-sold the move at Mania. I don't think Brock needed to win if his last match is at SummerSlam. I thought Soul was going to die 2 to 3 times in her match. Near and actual botches kind of work for her in-ring character. She is the epitome of high risk. Really fun match though, and Becky worked her ass off. Main event was very good with a lot of little Easter eggs to past bloodline moments. Even the steel step to the face spot was a homage to Umaga Cena at Rumble '07. I did not catch those homages if they were there. Question: with the Michael Jackson documentary coming out on Netflix this week, and there are past attempts at covering controversial but popular stars like Prince, Vince, Trump, Hogan, etc., are you guys surprised that Netflix seems to not care about the blowback they may receive in return for actual journalism / honest portrayals of people? With the mess that is Paramount CBS, I find Netflix's approach surprising and important. The blowback they receive. I guess, like, what is he referring to in particular? Like, recently with Netflix? And what blowback are they talking? Is he talking about?
I guess it's just so they're putting out this series this week that's called Michael Jackson: The Verdict, and it's gonna. I think the main focus is the 2005 child molestation case, and it certainly comes right after this movie that's come out that is largely a celebration of Michael Jackson and doesn't go into any of the scandals or accusations. Some of which, like, people are very adamant and have pushed back against those allegations. Obviously, we haven't seen this upcoming thing. You have to remember as well, like, Netflix is the streaming platform, but these documentaries, like, they are all different, like, production outlets, different producers that are doing these. It's not like Netflix itself is producing the like, these are all different producers that are doing these. The fact is, that Michael Jackson movie has been a super success. Like, it has been, it's despite the fact that many feel like it's really like a whitewashing of Michael Jackson, but it has been celebrated. So no, they are. I don't imagine that they are going to receive. So
people are saying that this documentary is too, like, easy on Michael Jackson?
I don't know. I haven't seen it, so I can't talk about it at all. I mean, it's not going to be like it's covering, like, the scandal of Michael Jackson. So, I mean, it's going to be going into that, but I mean, they have covered many topics that are, I don't know, like, I'm sure there will be people that are going to be fans of the documentary. There will be people that don't like the documentary, but not being able to see it, it's kind of hard to have an opinion of it.
I mean, I think Netflix primarily cares about whether or not people are subscribing, whether or not people are enjoying the things that they're watching. And I think whether or not you're enjoying it will often be determined by whether or not you think somebody put in, like, authentic effort into portraying the subjects that they are, covering. Mm-hmm. If it's a bullshit portrayal, if it's like a really easy, soft sort of, like, look at a topic, then I think it would reflect negatively on the broadcaster, right, or the platform, right?
Did you ever see the Finding Neverland doc on Michael Jackson from a few years ago? I didn't see it either, and my understanding is that HBO had to, like, remove it, I think, and that you have to find it elsewhere now. That's my understanding, although I haven't looked for it, but I didn't see it either, so that would maybe be the comparison point. But anyway, yes, that is coming out this week. So on that note, everybody, we're going to say goodbye on this Sunday night. Again, open house week begins Monday.
In 17 minutes.
The doors are open. We will be dropping post-pro-res for everyone, an audio news update coming out on Monday, and then Wai and I are back. Special start time Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern time, because Raw is airing from Italy. Same arena on Monday, so we will be starting the show at 9 Eastern. We'll go over all the news and then do a review of that show. And then coming out later this week, we're going to have all of our regular shows, a Minami Toyota retrospective, and much more. So check out all of it. postwrestlingcafe.com. A simple email sign up gets you access to the free tier and all the bonus shows coming up this week. So with all that said, goodbye.